Hello chess friends and welcome to your Start of Chess channel and welcome to a truly amazing game that I wanted to show you today. Welcome to a spectacular gameplay by Stockfish 17 against another top engine Igel in a crazy Najdorf Sicilian defense. And in this game we'll see again this poison pawn idea where white is giving up in the early stage of the game the b2 pawn. Black will take the b2 pawn, but then of course black's queen gets a little bit endangered, white gets an activity for the lost pawn. So I think it's really sharp tactical opening in which you have to, when you give up the pawn on b2, you have to find simply the best ideas, you have to find simply the most aggressive lines, and Stockfish I think will show us here really the best methods, the best ideas how to play this opening. And I think this is really an instructive game because many times in chess history the same position happened and the white couldn't find simply the most aggressive idea. So that's why I think if you're maybe bothered by the Najdorf Sicilian, this could be a perfect game for you. So let's see now what happened with white. The fish opened with move e4. Eagle's response was c5 the Sicilian. Now we have the modern variation and now the open Sicilian after d4. Knight to f6 hitting the pawn. Stockfish of course protects it, and now comes the standard move of the Najdorf Sicilian, the move a6, which is preventing in many lines some moves like knight to b5, and black is searching for an expansion later with the move b5 himself. So Stockfish continues with bishop to g5. He's threatening of course immediately some ideas like bishop takes f6, then the pawn structure could be messed up here, and the eagle protects it with the other knight. If you pick up now of course the knight here on f6, then this other knight will recapture. Stockfish continues with f4, and now comes this idea queen to b6 hitting the pawn on b2 immediately. And you can guess what Stockfish is doing. Stockfish plays now simply queen to d2, allows now queen takes b2 here by black, but now the queen is endangered, the queen is exposed, and Stockfish first of all has the initiative with the move rook to b1. Now black is losing really many important moves in the development just in order to get the queen somehow back into the game. After queen to a3, now comes I think the first really critical moment of the game. So now if you want to keep some kind of a pressure with the white pieces, you have to find really the best and optimal move. So now the only good move, believe me or not, every other move is simply much better position for black. The only good move here is a move that I think many of us wouldn't dare to play, is giving up simply the bishop 4-9. Only good move here for white. So what would happen, for instance, if g takes f6 happens, if you don't want to recapture with the knight? So I've analyzed this line at home. Then knight to d5 is a threat to put more pressure against the c7 square, and then if the queen comes back, then rook to b3. That's the beauty about this rook to b1 move. First of all, then the rook is coming really in a good way into the game. The rook has now great activity, and now there's simply, I would say, no good counterplay against the rook to c3. You're trying maybe e6, rook to c3, and then knight to c7 is again winning the game. If after e takes f6, after g takes, instead of g takes f6, the same position will happen. Knight to d5, rook to b3, rook to c3, or maybe different ideas, but you see the evaluation bar here. White is already much better. So after bishop to f6, black is pretty much forced to play knight takes f6, but now the issue is that the knight is not controlling the e5 square anymore, which gives here the fish extra time, and Stockfish has now the attack, has now the initiative. Well, has lost now pawn, but now the real fun starts. After move e5, here Eagle retreats with the knight to d5, again with the same threat of knight to c7, and now there are two choices how you can avoid this fork on c7. You can play rook to b8, which has been played in chess history. I see one game here, Martin Müller-Alves against Franjo Lovakovic back from 2012, in which here rook to b8 has been played, but white really didn't continue in the best way. Here the best way is to continue with e6, which was played in the game, but then after knight to c5 you just play e takes f7, and after king to f7 now we have a deviation from this game that I've mentioned. Now in the previous game knight to c3 has been played in chess history, but now in order to keep yourself some kind of a good attack, you have to play bishop to c4. That's now the beautiful part. And now look at this. I think we should use also a little bit here this position in order to study some theory, because after bishop to c4, in order to stay in the game, black has to play now the move e6, but now you don't hesitate here, just play knight to c3, and even if after d5, now comes the stunning f5, and this is the theoretical move that I think we should know, which wasn't played, which has never been played in chess history so far, but I think many of us would mess this up. The evaluation after f5 is almost +2 in white favor, although this bishop is hanging. I've analyzed a little bit further this position. D takes c4, you play castling. If e5 happens, seems like a logical idea to somehow keep maybe the files locked in front of black's king. Then a calm knight to f3 solves everything, and now if you step back, then you can still take, the queen is coming into the game, then you pick up this one, and the position is collapsing. So let's repeat again. Here after knight to d5, that Stockfish plays. If rook to b8 happens, then you have e6, then taking on f7, and now bishop to c4. Very important. This would be a novelty actually. And then after e6, knight to c3, and then f5 breaks simply black's defense. So here after knight to d5, that's why Igel tried king to d8 instead of rook to b8, but now Stockfish continues with a calm e takes d6. Now we have e6, and now rook to b3. Now the heavy artillery is coming into the game. Stockfish signature move, the beautiful rook lift. The queen takes d6, loses now another pawn for white, but it doesn't matter because now the queen is coming actively into the game. There are now several problems here in front of black's king, and now here Igel had to cover with move b6. Stockfish took. We have now knight takes b6. Queen takes d4 in this position is not working because after knight to a8, this comes of course with the check, and still this rook is covering the third rank, so it's again, I would say, game over here for black. So that's why for knight to b6, knight takes b6 had to be played by Igel. Stockfish took now, and now again the issue is you cannot take here the piece on d4 because of a stunning rook to d6, the double check, and also it's not only double check, it's an attack against the queen, but actually black is going to be checkmated anyway, even if you try king to e7, then again queen to d8 is an amazing checkmate. So that's why here after rook to b6, Igel retreated here to c7, but now Stockfish continues now with the beautiful idea, maybe just for fun, if you want to practice some cool middle games, or if you want to practice really this open sharp games, just for fun, pause the video and try to see now here the best idea here for white. It's really an interesting idea, which again shows that Stockfish is a different beast. So it's really an amazing idea here by Stockfish. So what would you do now maybe in this particular position? Let's try it out here. Okay, here if you play knight to c6 is also perfectly fine, but it's not really the optimal way. Then maybe king to e8 can happen, and then have maybe a tough time to somehow include more attackers into the game. Then you have to play g3, bishop to g2. Okay, playable, white is better, but there is a better solution of this position. Stockfish after queen to c7 finds an amazing h4. I myself would not even consider this move. Why should I push now pawns on the edge of the board if I have already such a pleasant attack against the black king? But the issue is again that you want to include just this other rook into the game. You want to play rook to h3. You want to play this signature move by Stockfish again. Again, you want to play the rook lift, and then you get the rook maybe to d3, even to c3. It's possible, maybe even to e3. Wherever the position needs it, you will place your rook and will have a great attack again against black's king. What should now black do after this move, this brilliant h4 move by Stockfish? Here, for instance, one of the suggested lines is to play the move e5. Makes, again, perfect sense. But then queen to d5 is causing many tactical problems. You're trying to cover, and then knight to c6. And then you play, I don't know, king to e8, and then queen to e5. Again, you have to cover, and now bishop to c4 leads now into complications because the pawn on f7 is weak. I don't know, you're trying bishop to c5. First of all, we take, and then we play calm rook to c6, and again I would say here much better position, bishop to d6, bishop to d5, and now White has decisive material, has now better activity with the pieces. Maybe not completely winning, but I think in the next couple of moves, castling rook to e1 could happen and it's game over. So instead of this move e5, you could also try maybe bishop to e7. Makes also sense in the first place because maybe black wants to escape, I don't know, to e8 and then to f8. Now comes then the rook into the game. That was the issue. You're trying to escape, but then rook to c3, for instance, could happen. Queen to d7, now knight to b5. You just continue the attacking flow. Look at this amazing position. You try even here bishop to h4, but who cares here after a couple more moves, even if you pick up this piece. Look at this, knight to d6 could happen, then queen takes b6, then this one is happening, rook to c7. Look how beautiful this, again, rook lift idea here is by Stockfish. Very amazing move. Let's repeat the move h4, and here instead of e5 or bishop to e7, Igel tried king to d7, trying somehow to hold this position, getting out of this potential attacks by the queen on dash squares. But now Stockfish continues for the check. Again, Igel retreats. Now comes knight to c6, king to e8, and now knight to e5. Nice centralizing move by the knight. Bishop to d7. We have knight takes d7, queen takes d7, and now if you want to again practice some tactics, pause the video again and try to see now the winning idea here for white. White moves and wins the game. What would you do now in this particular position? I think this is an easy one. Okay, here Stockfish obviously found the beautiful bishop to b5, and believe it or not, after 23 moves, Stockfish demolished this poison pawn variation of the Najdorf Sicilian. Here you cannot take, of course, after a takes b5, first of all, queen to a8, king to e7, and now there are many choices. You can play queen to a3, you can play so many good moves. I think the easiest idea to win the game is now to play rook to b7 and the queen strapped. Game over here for black. After bishop to b4, Igel tried here bishop to b5, Igel tried bishop to b4, but now Stockfish played king to e2, and in this particular position Igel resigned. So what's the issue? You cannot deliver check, of course, because of this activity. A takes b5 again leads into complications. You have to play king to e7, and now here queen to b7 is at least a position where we up the exchange. So again, game over. This pawn will be also lost. So I think it's a fair resign here by Igel. So incredible attack by Stockfish. I think an instructive one with many elements that we should know. First of all, this bishop to f6 idea, must know theory in order to get this e5 goal. If of course black takes, we saw then there is a problem of the square d5, then rook to b3, rook to c3, and I think also this stunning idea afterwards, this h4. This was, in my opinion, the most brilliant move of the game, which in the beginning didn't make sense because this pawn is so far from the action, but the rook lift idea, don't forget about this. I think very instructive attacking idea here, again introduced to us by Stockfish 17. So great game. If you want to see some other spectacular chess games like this, check out our commented chess games play by computer series with some more Stockfish games, Alpha Zero games, Lila C0, and many other top engines. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.